there, and welcome back to Dakota News Now. It is now time for another edition of Owning Your Outdoors, and joining me as always is Doug Schroeder from Lewis. And Doug, June has been a pretty important month, hasn't it?
June's a great month. It's a great month for gardening. It finally warms up, a little bit of moisture, things really start growing. Just a lot of fun.
And so one of the things about June is that it's dedicated to roses. It's Rose Month, right?
It is. Roses are just, they add a lot of grandeur to any landscape, a lot of color, and they're really pretty easy to grow. They've done a lot with roses in the last many years. What we have here are roses that are own rooted, which means the root of the rose is actually the same as the top. It's not a grafted situation. So if it died out, you wouldn't have some wild rose coming up in your landscape. Roses, the one thing I do recommend is they like well-draining soil. So if you have soil that maybe has a little bit of clay, amend it with maybe 4 inches of a compost and dig that in before you plant. Also, very important, read the spacing on how far apart to put roses. I know it may look nice right now to plant them a little tight, but once they're mature, if you plant them too tight, you're inviting disease.
Another thing about roses is you need to make sure that you keep them trimmed back and pruned, right?
Right. If you have a spent blossom, just snip it. I like to snip it down to the next leaves on the stem, and it'll keep it blooming. With anything, deadheading is important to keep it blooming and flourishing.
You gotta watch out for those thorns too, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what else is June?
June also is pollinator month. There's a lot of emphasis put on pollinators right now with bees and butterflies. I know as a child, I do see a lot more butterflies than we have today. A lot of that is because of pesticides in our area that have killed a lot of them off. What you can do at home to help pollinators is plant a pollinator garden. I recommend a variety of different perennials. Try to have it so something's blooming all the time to attract the pollinators. Another thing for pollinators, they need a water source. So if you have a bird bath or some sort of water, that's great. Also, your shrubs in the landscape provide cover from things that may want to kill or eat one of the pollinators.
Pollinators are usually attracted to bright colors, right?
They are. Hummingbirds are attracted to the color red. That's why a lot of the hummingbird feeders you see are in the color red. So, but a variety is great.
And without those pollinators, we don't obviously have the flowers blooming as much, and same with like vegetable gardens too.
They're very important for everything. South Dakota is one of the biggest honey producers, so once again, important to protect our pollinators.
So if we do need to protect our roses or our pollinators from any sort of pest, what would you recommend?
I would recommend organics. This is a regular insecticide. If you use that, chances are you're going to kill bees or butterflies that may land on your flowering items. There's a number of organic things, soaps, neem oil, that you can use to kill bad insects but not hurt some of the good ones.
All right, Doug, any other tips for roses or pollinators in general?
Nope, I just recommend planting. Don't be intimidated by roses. Give them a shot. They're much easier than you used to. And pollinators, just liven up your landscape with a lot of perennials.
And roses, once they're in full bloom, they're just gorgeous.
They are beautiful.
All right, Doug, thank you so much for all these tips. We're going to have all this information online at dakotanewsnow.com after the show. Make sure you stick around because we have FastCast coming up next.